Cornell has enhanced the potential within the Ivy League, proving to everyone that you can build a powerhouse anywhere. There's long traditions within the Cornell wrestling room and the wrestling program, and they have won every award in the book besides a gold team trophy in March. However, only a year ago, Cornell had the potential to push for another team trophy, but after gaining a few data points and injuries, it seems like a long shot for the Big Red. But is it really that far off, and exactly how good is Cornell this year? Well, if you stick around for more, I could tell you all about one of the top 10 teams in the country, the Cornell Big Red Wrestling Team. Before we dive into this fun Cornell team, hey everyone, my name is Tanner, and welcome back to TrueTan Wrestling. If this is your first time, hello there, and hit that subscribe button for more content in the future. I prefer to make dual and tournament recaps, lineup breakdowns, and breaking news stories all within the D1 college wrestling space. If this video sounds interesting to you, hit that like button. If you have any questions throughout, don't be scared to leave a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you all would have to say. Now, let's talk some Cornell wrestling. Cornell has their Ivy League rivals coming up this weekend, so they will need all hands on deck to reclaim their Ivy League dominance. Princeton is not a bad team by any means, but they are not the favorite in the duel, but neither was Lehigh, and they came out with the win over the Big Red. Cornell has been getting their feet re-wet after their Lehigh loss, and they have been taking out Ivy League and EIWA opponents left and right. Last weekend, they only gave up a combined 18 points in their very dominant wins over Navy and Columbia, and it is really nice to see Cornell wrestling again because it's kind of been a minute since we last saw them. In the 2020 season, they had a ton of stars in Olympic red shirts, and then the tournament got canceled anyway. Then in 2021, the Ivy League canceled all sports, so they missed that season unfortunately too. This led to some EIWA schools stepping up and getting qualifying spots, but I missed the Big Red in March, and I am so happy that they are back competing, so let's talk about their lineup questions entering this massive weekend for them. 125 has some questions, but also not really. The guy for March is definitely going to be Vito Arujau at 125, and I hope we see him against Glory of Princeton this weekend, sooner rather than later. Vito started the year at 133 and then slowly dropped back down to 125 to debut at Collegiate Duels, where he absolutely dominated several ranked opponents. The only thing I see being a problem is maybe his weight. I'm really happy for Vito that he got his weight off the right way and took his time with it, because he appears to have a full gas tank. However, he does miss matches from time to time, so they do throw in their other option, Greg Dioctomahalis, into the lineup. I think Greg needs at least one more year to really be a threat in college, but he isn't doing bad this season in his opportunities. He went 0-2 at CKLV, unfortunately, but wrestled Heinzman of Ohio State really tough, and he placed at Southern Scuffle, avenging one of his losses at that tournament over top redshirt Ventrese, who is a redshirt at Virginia Tech. Obviously, Vito is the best option here, but when they need Greg, he is definitely a valuable option. Vito will easily compete for an individual title this March, and he does have a win over #1 ranked Suriano of Michigan in freestyle, so this weight is way up in the air between the top 3 dogs. 133 really only has been La Jolla, who at first had a slow start to the season, but every time I watch him, he shows some serious promise, and he's really formed his own style on the mat. He has started before at 125, but he's filled in this 133 spot nicely this season for the Big Red. He is definitely getting battle tested this season, losing to several top 10 guys, but his best wins are probably either over Rini from Columbia or Biscaglia of UNI, who are both super tough and solid wrestlers. And then there's 141, which is such an interesting and confusing weight class from a fan perspective. Coming into the year, some people thought Yanni was throwing his hat into the ring at 141, once again to reclaim his title, and to possibly make one of the best brackets ever concocted by mankind. However, then Yanni started the year at 149, and unlike Vito dropping down, Yanni actually wrestled 149 at CKLV and beat the #1 ranked guy at the time. Yanni's freestyle weight class is in between 141 and 149, so people thought he was outgrowing 141, and in my opinion, I think he looks every bit of his new weight class 149. He's clearly the favorite at this new weight class, but now that I got my 149 rambles out of the way for Cornell, in short, it's all Yanni, I can go back to what I was talking about, and that is 141. So once Yanni didn't fill out at 141, who exactly was going to be the guy for the Big Red? Well, coming into the season, we thought high recruit Sanders would be the guy. At whatever weight we did not see Yanni at, but instead for the Stanford duel, we saw Pennsylvania standout Hanlovic, who has been taking his lumps so far, but he's battling everyone super tough this season. He still has a losing record on the year, but for most of January, well, after the Lehigh match, which I covered in a video, so go check it out, we did not see Hanlovic till this past weekend against Navy, where he picked up a win over Hunt, who won the Navy Classic this season. During his leave, they filled in with 133 wrestler Philip Mumi, who currently is winless on the year unfortunately, along with JJ Wilson, who has a few wins under his belt, but he is also a 133 pounder. This all leads back to the question, where is Sanders? And if Handlovic was hurt or something, couldn't they put Sanders in to get a few matches? Well, I kind of have some answers to this. I think Sanders got hurt pretty bad at Southern Scuffle, so this might be where he is at now. But he has also lost to Spar and Mat Club or Cornell redshirt / teammate Cornella this season at a previous open, and he wrestled him for a second time where he got injured at Scuffle. So maybe Sanders is just having a rough year, but he still has several wins on his resume. But I am guessing Handlovic is just winning the battles in the room, so maybe we'll see a more productive version of Sanders next season. Like I said, 149 is all Yanni for the Cornell lineup, and I think he's on a 4-match pin streak, to be honest. I could be wrong there. But leading to another interesting weight, we have 157, with the previous starter being Yapoyan, but ever since Collegiate Duels, he has been missing in action, so former 149 starter Richard has been filling in during his season leave. Yapoyan was really tough this year, and if he is injured, I hope he returns 100% healthy, because he has some tough matches on the year, along with some really nice wins. However, Richard should not be someone to put on the backseat either, because he popped off at Southern Scuffle, being returning All-American at 149, now on redshirt for Missouri Brock Mahler. Mahler was up a weight class, but you could honestly say the same thing for Richard at 157. All of his losses are to really good guys, and he has wins over Sunigula Navy, who placed at CKLV, along with being current Penn State 157 starter Bear Claw at Southern Scuffle. It is cool to see Cornell having serious depth at this weight class, and even cooler to see new guys pop off at these tournaments. He is definitely battle tested and building a heck of a resume this season. 165 was pretty clear cut, with Ramirez being the guy at 165 for the Big Red, being a 4th place finisher at CKLV, and being the returning national champ Shane Griffiths of Stanford in his first Cornell dual start, which is very impressive regardless of the controversy in that match. He has taken losses to Carson Karchler of Ohio State twice now, but who hasn't lost to that guy at this point? Let's be real. And he also has a weird first tournament loss to Matt Lee, Penn State redshirt, who is good, don't get me wrong, but he didn't place at Southern Scuffle, so just an odd one for Ramirez, I guess. However, tragedy stuck with Ramirez, I think, getting a concussion during his match against Ogunsani from Columbia. At least that's what it looked like to me. That matchup had some wicked potential too, to be a great match, so maybe we'll see it at conferences, but overall, I just hope Ramirez heals properly from an injury like that, because it can be pretty serious. 165 has been Santoro ever since the Ramirez injury, who filled in at 157 previously in this season too, so he's a nice backup to have on this elite squad and just a great teammate. 174 has been Chris Foca, who might seem to take weird losses from time to time, but honestly, most of his losses aren't even that bad. He lost to 2 national champs in the same tournament by razor thin margins, and his Logan of Lehigh loss honestly isn't that bad either, except for maybe EIWA seeding, but Logan is a tough wrestler, and Kemp from Cal Poly is a nice hand fighter who's going to be tough this season, so not a bad loss there either. He is for sure being battle tested, and that is good for a first time starter, and he placed 3rd at a tough CKLV bracket, so I am for sure keeping my Chris Foca stock. One thing I did notice, and I feel like is good to mention for Foca, is that he did wrestle 86 kilograms this summer in freestyle, and he did beat Max Dean at that weight. However, 86 kilograms is a little above 174 pounds. Dean would bump up, but Foca would drop down basically to another weight class, and I hope he keeps his weight in control, and besides some of his interesting losses, I think he is for the most part. At 184, they have second time starter Lowe, who has some great resume building stuff for the Big Red. He took 2nd at the Southern Scuffle, only losing to Cochran of Maryland, along with taking 3rd at CKLV, beating several good guys to get to that point. He also beat returning All-American Bolin from Virginia Tech at Collegiate Duels, so it seems like his kryptonite is Big Ten guys right now. So if he's placed in the right spot in the bracket in March, he could go on a serious run becoming an All-American in my opinion. He does have a weird loss to Burkhead of Lehigh, but that was a great match that I would rewatch any day, and I could see that going back and forth between both guys in the future. 197 is another interesting weight, with one major question, but we will get to that in a second. For now, the starter has been Cardenas, who's been doing super well for Cornell, and he seems to be great, putting up a lot of points when he needs to, and being super effective on top. He's only really lost to top tier guys, but the major question is for Cornell is, where has Ben Darmstadt been? It is crazy to think 4 years ago at this point, Darmstadt was a freshman All-American, placing 6th and making the semifinals. He would then get a medical redshirt in his next season, missing that whole year. He would return for his 3rd season, but the NCAAs would get canceled at the end of that year, and then the following season, Ivies would cancel that season for them. I thought for sure we would see him this year, but he has yet to wrestle at all this season. Not even an extra match or an open, so I have no idea where he's at. I'm just assuming he's been injured with a long-term injury, which would really stink. It is unfortunate when an injury keeps a stud like that off the mat. However, one good and bad thing is there isn't much time left in the regular season, but there is for sure time, and I would love to see returning All-American Ben Darmstadt back in the lineup because he could really shake up this 197 field. But for now, Cardenas is a super nice option for Cornell regardless. Heavyweight is pretty straightforward, with Fernandez being the guy, and he has looked outstanding, making the scuffle finals this season, and only really losing to top tier guys for sure. He does have a win over returning national qualifier McGalvery of the Citadel this season, and he only dealt with a minor injury early in the season, but ever since then he's looked fine, which is really nice to see. Flynn was the fill-in during this time that he was out, and he wasn't a bad option, always fighting in his matches, and Brendan Furman got the start for the Army duel, where he won a sudden victory thriller, so they have some options to say the least at heavyweight. Wow, who would have thought a team like Cornell would have so many roster questions up and down their lineup? There's a lot of mysteries, of course, but the real elephant in the room was the transfer of Max Dean to Penn State. Obviously, Cornell is pretty logjam up top, but I am sure Dean could have went 197, especially with Darmstadt appearing to be injured. I originally thought Foco was getting the better of him, but Foco went down, so I don't really know. Maybe he was just looking for a new home at Penn State, but I'm not totally sure. Plus, Cardenas did wrestle Max Dean very tough this season, but who knows what that was about. They also lost super successful and longtime head coach Rob Cole this offseason, who took his talents to Stanford, so it'll be interesting to see how he does there, but he left Cornell in good hands for sure with Mike Gray. Finally, be sure to watch Cornell versus Princeton this weekend on ESPN Plus at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. This duel has been super exciting to watch these past few years, and we were deprived of it last year, so let's go everyone. Also, Nebraska has a fun slate in the Big Ten this weekend, so follow their matches against Michigan and Penn State on the Big Ten Network. I've also done several of these roster breakdowns with Michigan, Penn State, and Iowa, so go check out those videos on my channel if you're interested. With all that said, thank you all very much for watching this video, and if you liked it, be sure to hit that like button, and if you are new to the channel and stayed for this long, you might as well hit that subscribe button too. Also, leave a comment on your thoughts on the Cornell roster / lineup in the comment section below, and with all that said, I wish you all a great day. Take care, everybody.